Hello and welcome. I'm Nancy Dorrant. I'm the Evening Standard Arts Editor and this is Cultural Capital, the show where we bring you our favourite things from London's amazing arts and culture scene. This week we're down in Woolwich to visit London's newest multi-arts centre. We're strolling the Southbank on the trail of a giant teapot. Our thing of the week is a modern theatre favourite, and I'll be reviewing the only film anyone's really interested in, No Time to Die. Now, from gigs by international artists like African Boy to Lewisham-born star Shingai, from an audience with Lem Sissay to grown-up comedy you can bring your baby to, London's newest cultural space, Woolwich Works, just opened on the site of the Royal Arsenal, is going to bring a wild, eclectic mix of excellent art to Royal Borough of Greenwich. We headed down there to talk to its director.
Woolwich Works is 5 buildings on the Royal Arsenal estate that have been redeveloped by the Royal Borough of Greenwich. Woolwich is an amazing place that has these amazing buildings that, when they stopped being in military use, have all this heart and soul and need to be alive with activity and creativity, and they just naturally sang to everybody that set foot in them whilst the project was being developed, as this should be a place for the arts. Part of our purpose is to create creative opportunities and work opportunities for the communities in this part of London, but we're also here to be an enabling organisation that serves other artistic and creative organisations. And the thing about this site overall is that there are so many different spaces and they all kind of share a sort of common character, but they're all different shapes and sizes. So this is the Night Gallery. It's one of several of our smaller performance spaces. It's named after Eliza Adelaide and Donald Knight. And in terms of programming, this space, like most of our rooms, is used for all sorts of things. Bring your own baby comedy, some synth pop, all sorts of things, exhibitions, talks. We're currently in the Lillian Barker foyer, which is quite often, as is the case at the moment, behind me, being used as a gallery space. So we're exhibiting a show called Black in Full Colour to mark Black History Month throughout October, which was curated by a local collective called the Collective Makers and celebrates the work of emerging and professional black artists in the borough and beyond. So this is our main space in the Fireworks Factory. It is a flat floor former munitions factory space, 1,500 square metres. Even though it's quite a big space, it all feels really quite intimate, and when it's lit of an evening it's lovely with little lamps on top of the tables as well. Sort of feels like a jazz club, but for 936 people. My hopes and dreams are that the recovery continues and we make a contribution to it, both for our local community and for the wider creative industries, and that, cheesy as it may sound, that this can be part of being a bit of a beacon of hope for people, and that it can be a place that shows both emotionally and economically the value and importance of the arts and creative industries.
Oh, excuse me, I just really fancied a cuppa. Perhaps I should have gone to the Southbank, where a giant Samovar by the Berlin-based art collective Slats and Tatars has just landed as part of what the curators are calling a new cultural playground. We headed to the Southbank to find out more.
Samovar is the first collaboration of 3 with the Bagri Foundation, and with the foundation, the Hayward Gallery is presenting one artist a year from the area of Asia around the world, and Asia in a much broader and larger sense. Samovar by Slats and Tatars, this installation was thought of as a way of creating dialogue across cultures. A samovar is a kitchenware or a kitchen appliance that's used for serving tea, and it was invented in Russia originally, but is found widely through Central Asia. Slats and Tatars are a collective, and they thought it'd be really interesting to connect with this very long and rich tradition of tea in Britain, in the UK. And they wanted to set that in dialogue with another hugely rich and diverse tradition of tea and tea culture across Central Asia or Eurasia. And by creating this 14-meter high inflatable samovar, they struck a real balance between something which is striking in the way that you might think of a parade float, but it's a way of inviting people in to then think, what actually is that object? Where does it come from? the artists are actually able to interrogate the history of tea in Britain and often colonial history that brings with it.
The outdoor sculptures that we're now putting on the site and around the whole Southbank Centre as part of our kind of cultural playground strategy, these are fulfilling the idea that this shouldn't be a barren concrete wasteland, but should be something that's teeming with things that have visual interest and can engage people and can really take you out of your everyday experience and bring you into a different kind of mindset. Strangely enough, London has a waterfall now, and it's thanks to an artist in Berlin, Klaus Weber, who created this fountain and sculptural installation for the Hayward, where they will see a waterfall flowing down from a concrete pedestrian walkway onto a pair of legs, which periodically also erupt in a fan-shaped fountain. Water in a lot of cultures is associated with thought. We talk about streams of thought and the idea of inspiration. So Klaus wanted to animate these sculptures with water as a way of suggesting what can happen to our minds when we're stimulated by art. Well, I think it actually brings a really lovely sense of playfulness and humor to the brutalist architecture. And the Hayward Gallery is actually a really creatively designed building, but it has some facades that are just pure concrete.
We're challenging those artists to come up with spectacular, fantastic installations that really get people engaging with the site and thinking about all sorts of societal and cultural issues that are free to view for the public when they come here.
Slats and Tatars installation is at the Southbank Centre until December the 5th. I'm going to keep drinking my tea because it's everyone's favourite bit now. Thing of the week.
Warhorse, the National Theatre stage adaptation of the book by Michael Morpurgo, tells the story of the horses sold to the army for service in the First World War. Joey and other puppets share the stage with an ensemble of actors and were created by Adrian Kohler and Basil Jones of South Africa's Handspring Puppet Company, based in Cape Town. This Joey, from the West End transfer of Warhorse, has performed in over 1,640 shows and was retired from the production in March 2013. Warhorse has been seen all over the world. By the time its West End run closed at the New London Theatre in 2016, the show had been seen by over 7 million people across 11 countries. It takes a team of 14 craftsmen and women 8 months to build a complete set of 23 puppets for Warhorse, including horses, Joey and Topthorn, a goose, 2 swallows and 2 crows. The finished horse puppets weigh approximately 43 kilos for the body, including the puppeteers' backpacks, and another 7.7 kilos for the head. They're made of cane, leather and Tyvek, which is a material used in bookbinding. The torso is reinforced with aluminium and it's able to carry a rider on top. Joey is brought to life on stage in Warhorse by 3 puppeteers, known as the head, the heart and the hind. Puppeteers train for 8 weeks before they begin performing and work together to create the emotions and character of a horse through breath, noise and movement. Using the Japanese bunraku exposed style of puppetry, they are costumed and visible to the audience, but make Joey the focus of attraction.
Joey lives at the V&A in room 106. Now, hallelujah, praise Barbara, cinema is saved. Yes, though it hardly seems possible, the 25th Bond film has finally been released, carrying not just the hopes of millions of worldwide Bond fans, but those of the entire film industry, battered by the pandemic, desperate to get bums back on popcorn-spattered seats before the streaming services take over completely.
Why would I betray you?
We all have our secrets.
Guys, I'm pleased to report it is very, very good. It's not Skyfall, my personal favourite, but few things are, and it's absolutely a worthy ending to Daniel Craig's 15 years as the world's favourite hard-drinking super spy. Thank you for your service. As everyone knows from the trailer, having quit to spend his retirement in the much-needed company of a psychologist, Dr. Madeleine Swann, Bond and his lover's honeymoon period doesn't last. Her hidden depths provide the setup for this roller coaster ride that nods to historical Bonds and explores the consequences of keeping secrets for too long.
You're the only one I trust for this.
The world's moved on, Commander Bond.
There are some plot holes to allow for yet another epic car chase, but I only really registered them about 3 days later. Testament to Cary Fukunaga's deft direction and a lesson in why it's worth investing in brilliant actors for your ridiculous movie. The cast is a joy. The team at MI6, led by Ray Fiennes, are effortlessly watchable. There's a gorgeous scene in Q's flat as he's preparing to host a boyfriend for dinner. I wish I could have seen more of Ana de Armas as ditzy CIA agent Paloma, and Lashana Lynch as Nomi, Bond's more than capable replacement at 00 level, is brilliant, and I really hope we get to see more of her in the future. Craig himself, as ever, sporting very slightly tighter trousers than you might expect from someone who runs around quite so much. Production and costume designer Sutirat and Lalab, thank you for your service. But he gets more of a chance than usual to flex his actually quite expressive facial muscles.
James Bond.
I've always said he's an underrated comic actor, understated but putting in the work where it's necessary, and he has two of the best lines in the film. Rami Malek's villain, Lucifer Safin, is a classic of the genre, perhaps too classic. His effete affectations, soft voice and minimalist kimono styling have just a whiff of the Dr. Evil about them.
History isn't kind to men who play God.
Still, his lair is up there with the best villainous island hideaways of Bond, even if we do spend a bit too much of the 2 hours and 43 minutes of the film on it. His impact is slightly undermined too by the brief appearance of Christoph Waltz's imprisoned Blofeld, who is hard to beat as a villain. I'm not going to tell you any more about it because I don't want to give anything away, but there's a massive twist, something like 2/3 of the way through, which colours everything that happens after, and what happens after is pretty amazing. No Time to Die is in cinemas now. Thanks for watching Cultural Capital. Don't forget to subscribe to the Evening Standard's YouTube channel, where you can see all the previous episodes. See you next week.